Hi, this is Jeffreygentry.Bpa, Bloodstain Pattern Analyst. What I'm going to do today is create some blood drip stains. And remember, a blood drip stain from previous videos is when blood accumulates on a surface, creates enough blood that it forms a blood drop, and then gravity makes that blood drop fall to the surface, and it strikes the surface at approximately a 90-degree angle. There can be some variation in angles with drip stains. But today we're going to look at when blood hits a surface perpendicular to the surface, so at 90 degrees. And remember, blood drip stains are extremely helpful. It's one of the things I look for at every scene. It can tell you multiple different things. It can tell you a victim or suspect position in a room. It can tell you about movement. It can tell you about rate of bleeding. So if you see multiple drip stains and how close they are together, how fast that person is bleeding. It can tell you location where the person travels. So normally when somebody's bleeding, they're not going to just stay stationary in one place. They're going to be running around or moving. So sometimes you'll see a drip trail that moves from one point to another in a room. And then drip stains can also be measured to tell the approximate height that they fell from. So we're going to look at blood drip stains from 1 foot off the ground. So we have our ruler here in place, so 12 inches off the ground. They're going to be falling perpendicular. And then just remember, what this is going to demonstrate is you have to be aware of what type of surface these drip stains are falling on. Depending on the material that they fall on, they're not going to look the same every time. So we're going to create blood drip stains with exactly the same mechanism, but they're falling on different surfaces. So in a previous video, please make sure you watch it. I drew my own blood, so I'm going to be using my own blood, real blood, for this experiment. This blood's been sitting for a little while, so I'm just going to kind of shake it up before we use it. I'm going to be using a pipette just to create the drip stains, and it's going to simulate blood accumulating on a surface and then falling under the force of gravity only. So there's no impact involved in this. It's just blood falling to the surface under the force of gravity only. Okay, so we're going to do it about 1 foot off the ground for everyone. So first is the cloth material. Second is just like a textured paper. Third is duct tape. Duct tape, you find those in scenes. Sometimes people are bound with it. So always look on duct tape to see if you can find any blood stains. On our Wayne's World cup, we're going to do a couple drip stains. I want to demonstrate something else with this later. Okay, this is a nice smooth, and it's a polished, smooth, clean surface. And then our last one is the plastic bag. Okay, so I'm going to save the rest of that blood. This is my own blood, so I'm trying not to draw my blood unless I have to. Okay, so we're going to look at these right now, just our initial observations. So, on the material, the wet blood saturated into the surface, so you don't see a good circular blood stain. It's rough, it's irregular, it's not a circle. Even though this hit the surface at a 90-degree angle, you do not see a perfect circular blood stain. Be really careful trying to interpret blood stains on material. I would just call this a blood stain on the material that's saturated into the surface. All right, now on the paper. So the blood is still wet, but you see an almost perfect circle. The blood stain has a slightly scalloped edge, so that means it's just kind of rough and textured around the edge, but it's almost a perfect circle. On the duct tape, it's a nice smooth surface, so again you see almost a perfect circle. It's not scalloped on the edge like the paper. It's almost perfectly circular. The edges are not irregular at all. On the cup, because this hit the surface at, even though it hit the surface at a 90-degree angle, this surface is curved, so it's not going to allow formation of that perfectly circular blood stain. So it hit the surface, little satellite spatter stains were projected off of the cup onto the surface we were using here. And then there was even some flows that went down the surface. The plastic bag, again, nice, very smooth surface. This is the smoothest surface out of all of these. And you got an almost perfectly circular blood stain. I'm going to measure, let me grab a measuring device here. I'm going to measure these, just the diameter of the paper versus the plastic. Okay, so I'm going to measure these in millimeters. Okay, so we have almost an exactly 1 centimeter, maybe 12 millimeters diameter blood stain on the paper. On this, it's exactly 1 centimeter. So even though they fell from the same height, you saw them drop, same exact mechanism, this one is slightly larger than this blood stain. So just be really careful trying to interpret results on different materials. This is an example of blood drip stains on multiple surfaces under the influence of gravity only. So this is Jeffreygentry.Bpa bloodstain pattern analysis. Hope you enjoyed it. There are multiple different videos related to bloodstains and bloodstain pattern analysis on my channel. Make sure you like and subscribe for continued bloodstain pattern analysis videos.